Hey guys, welcome to Monday night's episode of Relax, This Is Gonna Suck. While I wait for Shakti to hop on, I'm gonna plug in my headphones. At some point I'm gonna invest in wireless headphones, but I haven't done that yet. So, Katie. I have cats scratching couches, all the things. All the things happening here tonight. And I forgot to get water. So it'll be an episode where I will not be hydrating. Let's see, what can I talk about while I wait for Shakti to hop on? Typically, this is where I awkwardly drink water and I have an empty water bottle, but it's still next to me. I just don't have any water in it, so that'll be fun. Tonight we are talking though about a really awesome topic on making committed decisions and why they matter, and really what's the difference between making just a regular decision versus making a committed decision. Let's see. I guess I can tell you guys a story. Let me think of a story to tell you guys. Not that anyone's on. If you guys are watching the replay, this is really awkward. If you're watching the replay, just feel free to fast forward until Shakti hops on. So today I received mail, which was super exciting. I have a UPS mailbox in Iowa City, so everything gets collected there and then sent to me wherever I am. The lighting is really weird too. This was happening earlier when I was interviewing Shakti. And so I realized that it was the first time in 5 months that I had actually received mail. And that was really kind of a surreal experience. And Shakti, is that you? I see a one viewer. Hey Shannon. I have my phone also on Do Not Disturb. So I don't know if Shakti's tried to message me. I'm just here rambling by myself with the cat going crazy in the background. Well, honestly, Shannon, I'm grateful that it's you because, like I said, I'm sitting here awkwardly rambling, waiting for Shakti with a cat going nuts in the background, which, just if it were someone new to me or to the podcast, it would just, hey guys, everyone else is hopping on except for Shakti. This is awesome. Yeah, so I was just telling Shannon, I'm so excited that it's you guys who are used to me and used to us. So when I'm just sitting here by myself randomly talking and then I have cats going nuts in the background, it's oh, whatever, it's just typical Anne. Seriously, this is my life right now. And then what makes it awkward is the fact that my co-host, my partner, isn't here and I don't know how to reach her. There she is. All right. Oh Lord, Shakti, you're gonna have to go back and watch the beginning of this. All right.
Nothing is working right now. Nothing. Nothing is working in my life.
Girl, you have to go back. Whenever we're done, you have to go back and watch the beginning because you're not hopping on, right? But it's taking you longer than typical. So I'm sitting here trying to just shoot the shit and talk. But I have nothing to talk about because I'm awkwardly waiting for you to hop on. And then I have a cat, Guinea, just going nuts in the background. And then other viewers start hopping on ready for the podcast. And I'm sorry guys, Shakti's not here, but here's Crazy Ann with cats going in the background, not know where fucking co-host is.
So I didn't get notified that you went live, and I was like looking for the video, and it's like showing the old videos, and I'm like, these are not the videos I want, internet. Give me the video that I want, internet. That's what happened. Yeah. So I apologize, you guys.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just, it was funny. And what's also funny is that you're in a fucking tank top, and I'm in Phoenix in a sweatshirt.
I literally cannot wear a sweatshirt or I will die. I don't know what happened to my house, but it decided to be 1,000,000 degrees inside of it. And I'm like, I'm going to have a heat stroke. So if you want me to talk, I can't wear a sweater.
You guys, this is real life. This is what our actual friendship is like.
For real. It's the truth.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share this shit out now that, you know, things.
Hey guys, I'm seeing all your names. Hi Angelica, hi Carrie, hi Z, I see you're on. Hi Tiff, hi Tanner, hey Shannon, hey Tanya. What up, y'all?
And last week we started, I like totally forgot about this. Last week we started something new, which is super exciting. Share this video out. We're gonna choose 2 people. Shakti's gonna choose someone. I'm gonna choose someone. Of those of you who shared, she's gonna do a mini reading. I'll do a free mindset call. And there you have it. So if you want to be on the list to choose, then yes, thank God our friendship is like this.
We're big fans of it.
We've gone through a lot of shit to keep this friendship, let me just say. Not with each other, but with other people.
God, you've had to work to stay friends. I never had to work for a friend so hard in my life. You're lucky I liked you enough.
Speaking of making a fucking committed decision, we had to like commit and decide to like keep this shit going, guys.
I basically married Anne. It was hard. It was like a proposal. It was the whole thing. There was a courtship. It was the whole thing.
We like separated for quite a few years and then came back and it was magical. It was like, oh my God, you again.
Only time rekindling an old flame actually works was in this relationship. So we're talking about committed decisions. We are the perfect example of that. Any questions at the end? This is how the podcast begins and ends.
We're just sharing this out, guys. Don't forget to share it out if you want a chance to win free shit from us. We love giving away shit for free. And now you guys didn't know that.
My readings are getting cray-cray. So if y'all really want some in-tune shit, y'all need to get on the sharing train. Because I'm tapping into all kind of crazy shit right now. And every time I give a reading now, I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, okay.
Smitty, I have a cat literally like crying in the background. He's like, what is going on with you? Could you please wait till I'm done? He's like, no, I can't, actually. Thanks for asking, though.
Cannot. So how did this topic come about? We always like to give you kind of a little preface to like why we're talking about committed decisions, even though that's like our whole life. So we're going to give you a little background to why we decided to talk about this. And why my personal belief, which is exactly the tag that I'm putting as I'm sharing this out, is that committed decisions are actually the only decisions. There's like outside of that, there's not like another decision. The word decision in itself means that you're making a choice. So, and let me just give you like an example of what I mean. And this was shown to this, a mentor of mine did this during a seminar one time, and it left a really lasting impression on me, as simple as it was. If I was in a room with all of you guys who are watching this right now, and I dropped a pen on the floor, and I told you to pick it up, to make the decision to pick up the pen, y'all would go down, squat down, pick up the pen, pick it up off the floor, and get back to your seat. Probably is what you would do. Okay? Now, if I told you to try to pick up the pen, you would go ahead and try and grab it again, but that's not what I asked you to do. I would ask you to try to pick up the pen. So then you would just kind of squat there, awkwardly reaching for a pen, never really grabbing it. Like, that's what you would be doing. Because that is what trying to do something is like. You're not actually doing the thing. So when we talk about like a committed decision, it's almost funny to me because that's like, it's so repetitive. It's so redundant. Like, it's the same thing. Using the word commitment and decision is the same thing. It basically is the same thing. It does not doesn't decorate the word decision. It just like amplifies the word decision, because when you're deciding, you're committing, basically. So anyways, here's a little mini example we're going to talk about, but Anne really is the one who brought up this conversation, so I'll let you preface it.
And that's fine. It started as a ramble of like, what are we going to talk about? And then I was like, these are all the things that have been flowing through me lately. And I was like, pick from there. And then this is the topic that came up. And Shakti's right. Making a decision is really all you need, right? Like Tony Robbins talks about the fact that like the power of making a decision, and Abraham Hicks talks about it as well. The power, like once you decide, you really set that thing in motion. But where the committed decision came into play was I went to church on Sunday, and the church that I've been going to, they've been doing sermons basically, or services based on the book You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And so our minister was talking about the importance of making a decision, right? The power of making a decision, and how many things can actually change in your life when you choose to make that committed decision. But what so often happens, and this is where we would say it's not really a decision, it's more of the trying, but a lot of times what happens in your life is that you'll say like, I'm going to whatever that thing is, and you think that's a decision. You think that's a decision that you've made, but then as soon as you hit a roadblock, as soon as you hit contrast, as soon as you hit discomfort, as soon as you hit the edge of your comfort zone or your upper limit, you're like, I'm good. I don't really want to, I'm good. I don't think I really want to do that anymore. Or you experience contrast and then say to yourself like, well, I guess that wasn't the right path. Or I guess it wasn't, it's a sign. Or it wasn't the right decision. No, it was still the right decision. You just have to like overcome the bullshit stories that you've been telling yourself. That's all it is. And on top of all that, when you make a decision or a committed decision and contrast comes up, you're going to experience contrast, you're going to experience hurdles, you're going to experience upper limits, you're going to experience all those things. And I'm just going to give an example for, I'll give an example of this journey, right? So I left a year ago. I made the decision in February of 2017 that I was going to live this nomadic life. Now, I kind of had to commit to that shit, guys, because I decided not to renew my lease. Now, if I decided to not renew my lease, and then I was like, well, this is uncomfortable, so I guess not. I couldn't re-sign that lease. Now, granted, yeah, I could have gotten another apartment in Chicago, but it would have changed everything, right? Throughout this journey, I have had obstacle, hurdle, limiting belief, like all these things, right? The first year was a complete shit show. It was a complete and utter shit show. It looked like a failure, honestly. I'm like, the second year, I finally understand what I'm doing. But the first year was just hurdle and obstacle and limiting belief and upper limit, like all over the place. And like, it looked from my shoes like it was, even though I knew it was right, I was like, this looks like the worst decision ever. If anyone actually knew what was going on, they'd be like, so when the fuck are you going to give up and go rent an apartment somewhere? Because it looked like it wasn't going to work at all, right? But what I realized, and what our minister was saying, was that when you experience those hurdles and those roadblocks, those are the experiences that help you become the person that is capable of living whatever it is that you've wanted, right? So if I'm wanting to live this nomadic life and I have a vision for what I think it's going to be like, I needed the hurdles of like not having any money. I needed the hurdles of, not being able to pay my bills, not being able to buy groceries, trying to plan trips to Chattanooga that were falling through over and over and over and over again. Like I needed those because what happened was that who I became in the process of experiencing that is now who's able to fully live on the road. right? Who's able to like fully trust that obstacles are helping me. So like now when shit seems to fall through, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what comes out of this because something good is coming. I'm learning something,
Yep.
you know? But like what so many people do is you guys quit. You quit when you hit that first brick wall because you're like, oh, I guess I can't climb it. Climb the fucking brick wall. Just hop over, like climb it and hop, scale it and hop over it. You know, like go over the obstacle. Don't just stop there.
I want to address Tanner's question because it's prompt, and I've had many experiences of this. So her question was, what Anna's talking about, how do we know when the impediment we're facing is an egoic impediment, meaning that we should not, or we're afraid of doing the thing, versus it is not in our path to do the thing. So how can we tell the difference? Like, I am afraid of moving forward with something, or I have resistance moving forward with something, versus this is not in the highest alignment. And as I was sitting with your question, the very first thing that came to me is there is a difference between approaching your life mentally and approaching your life in your essence, from your consciousness, from your highest expression of self, from your heart. Okay? What Anne was pursuing was a deep desire to live a certain kind of life and have a certain kind of service and a certain kind of business. It was a completely organic desire of hers to live life that way. It was not coming from here. It was coming from here. Mm-hmm. And therefore, she was met with resistance and obstacles, etc., in order to kind of shape her up to being the kind of coach that she wanted to be. Now, oftentimes where the obstacles will come in when it's not your path, or when you're making what we call cerebral decisions. I'm going to go back to school. Why the fuck are you going back to school? Do you actually have a desire to study something back in school and invest $50,000 in a master's degree that you desperately want to pursue? Or are you doing that because you don't know what else to do and you're too afraid to admit that you don't actually know where else you're supposed to go, and you don't want to do the inner work, and you're avoiding the inner conversation, so you'd rather do something that is socially acceptable, even though it puts you into thousands of dollars of debt, to move in a direction that you don't actually want to move. And typically what starts to happen when you make a decision like that is you start to get met, like it happened to me. I was trying to apply to go to PT school because I figured I'm a massage therapist. I'm really fantastic at kinesiology. I understand the human body like a beast. Like, I would be such a great PT. True enough, I would be, but every time I tried to apply or do this or go there, it was like one door was shutting after the other. This door shut and that door shut and this thing went wrong and that thing blew up and the other thing blah, blah, blah. And it was like nothing was working out. Every entry point I tried to get to go in that career direction was a closed freaking door in my face. And I got to the point where I was like on the verge of crying, sitting in my car on a college campus, like, what the fuck is going on right now? And at that moment is when I had that like revelation, like, you are doing something from a cerebral place. Like, your soul doesn't actually want to do this. So we are going to discourage it as much as possible so that you cannot move in that direction. So this is where it implores you to have enough self-awareness to know why you're doing what you are doing and where that decision is being born from. Because again, you will see that impediment, this is not your path, happening when it's like something that is coming from like an expectation, or super cerebral, super mental, super logical. This makes sense, so this is what we're gonna do, and you know, this is what people do. People graduate, people get married, people blah blah blah. Like, you're following a set of previous expectations that aren't actually who you are or what you want to do. That to me is when I see one versus the other the most.
I also see it a lot in relationships. A lot.
Oh, for sure. But again, cerebral decisions in relationships.
Right.
I've been married for 20 years. We have kids. I don't want to leave because that's going to be hard. Duh.
Right. Right. And if you feel like, because I've totally been there, right, where it's like I feel like I have to hold on. So my last relationship is a perfect example, right? It was heart-wrenching. Like, it's still to this date one of the hardest relationships I've ever had to process through. And I'm still processing through it. But the end of the relationship, and Shakti fucking told me ahead of time that it wasn't lasting, right? But it was like I had this deep need to be in that like that I needed that relationship, right? And like, yeah, I felt it in my soul, but it came more from this, like, I have this need for this relationship. I have this attachment to this relationship. I didn't want to let it go because I was afraid that something better wouldn't come along. I was afraid of losing the life that I had, right? But when I was able to really sit with it, even though I was grieving, even though I had extreme heartache, in the moment when I was really removed from the situation, that's when my soul started to speak more clearly about, you're not meant to be in this because you want to be traveling. You're not meant to be in this because you don't want to have kids, actually, right? Those weren't easy truths to sit with. But, and even though I felt the grieving of that relationship very deeply, and I had and still have a deep love for him, I was able to feel the clarity of, even though I feel it deep in my soul, this deep connection, I still knew that it wasn't meant to be a forever thing, right? But so often people stay stuck in relationships for the fear of, I don't want to lose this person. I don't want to lose what I have because I don't know that something better will come along. I'm afraid of loss, right? So it comes from fear, ego, which is a mind thing.
And we do that a lot when it comes to our children. Like, we do it a lot when it comes to, like, I don't want to leave this relationship because I have kids with this person, as if that's the reason you stay in a relationship with someone. Like, that literally makes no sense, you guys. That makes zero fucking sense. Like, really deep down. And when we make those decisions, we don't, in the immediate, we don't realize what we're actually trading. Like, we don't realize how expensive that trade is going to be for us when we suffocate a truth of ours and we exchange it for some false sense of security. That's like the worst exchange you could ever make, because it won't cash you out in the front end, but it's going to cash you the fuck out in the back end. And that is when people hit their rock bottom and start their dark night and reach out to one of us and are freaking out and they don't know what to do and they're panicking and they're like, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? Maybe because you ignored the first 20 years of the sign that you needed to commit and leave. So now you are living the repercussions of having ignored a soul call that was there so long ago. Because we have to live into the reality we create. We can't live into another reality. So it's not that bad things happen to you. It's just that you're not listening. You're not listening to the original call to commit to a different path. And because you're not listening, you're going to stay in a situation that is not meant for you. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse until it gets so bad that you then have no choice because you lose all the things. That's what ends up happening.
So Shakti, I'm curious about, because I've heard multiple people say this to me on a variety of calls. They're like, but I mean, life is pretty good. Like, I'm happy with being complacent. Like, I feel, like, and we've talked about this, I know, before, with like living a mediocre life, but like, from your perspective, if someone is totally fine with like living a complacent life, do you feel that they can just stay complacent comfortably forever and like not feel the repercussions of it?
No.
Okay.
I think simple answer. I think our natural desire is to expand as human beings. I don't think it's possible for any single person that is alive to not want to expand in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes that expansion is through our children. Like, if you're a really devoted parent and like you get all this pleasure from seeing your children succeed, sometimes that's the place where you seek for expansion. Sometimes it's in personal relationships, romantic relationships. Sometimes it's in your career and vocation. Sometimes it's in your hobby. But I literally think it's impossible for a human being to not have a desire to expand over a period of time, to become an evolved version of themselves, whatever that means. Now, in the words of Gary Vee, I'm not talking to you fucking happy people. If you're really fucking happy, then stay happy. This conversation ain't about you. Get off the podcast. You're done. You know what I mean? Like, this is not for you. We are talking to the people who want to expand, who want to deeply understand themselves and their growth, and don't want to keep making decisions that are trapping them in these egoic corners. Now, if you come to a conversation with a coach and you're like, I I'm pretty happy right now. I'm like, I'm happy. I genuinely have a wonderful life. Like, wonderful partner. My kid is a fucking gem. My work is amazing. I take such good care of myself. We have beautiful things. And there are still shit I need to work on a deep level. There is still shit that I approach like a rhinoceros on a fucking sprint. I'm like, I need to blast through this thing because this is not working. So even though my life is genuinely wonderful and I don't have drama and I don't have trauma and I'm not navigating that shit anymore, I still have areas where I need to grow. So I find it extremely hard to believe that any single individual would come to a session with someone like you or I and for realsies tell you that everything's pretty good and they don't want to work through something. I'd be like, girl, I see right through your ass right now.
Yeah.
Come
no,
on.
I do. I totally see through it, right? But it's like, it's this fear of, and I get it. Like, this is an area where I'm constantly having to be aware in my life. This fear that if I strive for something more, that it won't actually be better than what I currently have, right?
Yes.
And so this is why transitions from place to place, ego's like, oh my God, we're gonna die. It's gonna be awful. And I'm like, no, remember how like the next place is always better than the last place, and like we're always growing and expanding, and life is amazing.
Remember?
Right? Remember? I know you're a toddler with amnesia, but like, fuck, just like, come
Remember?
on. And he goes like, no, I don't.
We do that with everything.
Yeah, and he goes like, no, I don't remember. This is awful, you know? But it's like people are afraid to grow and move forward because you have this fear that like, it's going to be really painful. And like, okay, yeah, it's not rainbows and butterflies all the time. There's a reason this is called relax. This is going to suck. Relax. It's still going to fucking suck. But we remind you that like shit's not that serious all the time, guys. Like when you think you're gonna cry, laugh instead. It's not that serious. You know, you can laugh your way through the dark night if you choose. You know, of course, Miracles talks about the fact that you can learn through joy or pain. It's your choice. But I agree with Shakti that I'm always like, when people are like, no, you know, my life is good and blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, but for real, like. What's going on, you know? Because and the thing is like, yeah, I mean the thing is like a lot of people I think say that they're happy with being complacent, but what's really happened is they're pretending to be okay with complacency as they shoved their soul's desire so far down, like shoved a donut in their soul's mouth and was like, shut up for a fucking second, right? Like I don't want to hear this, and pretending that it doesn't exist. You can only pretend so long. It's kind of like Abraham talks about this, like with the beach ball, like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can only shove shit down for so long before it pops up and like smacks you in the face. And you're like, fuck, I should have listened.
Yeah. Here's the thing too, you guys. Your life doesn't have to be awful for you want it to be better. Like, that is not a thing. Like, your partner doesn't have to beat you in order for you to want to leave. Like, that's not what we're talking about, you know? And too many times, that's what I see. I see this like, well, he doesn't hit me or rape me, so like I guess like we're good. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? That's how I have legit had women say that to me, and I'm like, you need help, like deep fucking help, because just not wanting to be there, not feeling like your soul is in alignment with where you are is enough to get the fuck out of any situation. Period. It doesn't have to be bad. You don't have to be battered. You don't have to be eating shit to change your life and want something more for yourself. Like, it is enough for you to say, this is really good, and I know that we can be better. I can be happier. I can be fitter. I can have even more passion in my marriage. I can have even more love for my children. I can grow even more mystically. I can have more money. It's okay for you to be grateful for everything that you have and want more. It is fine to want to be better at everything in your life. You don't have to be eating crap. Like, that's not a prerequisite to want to improve.
My question to you guys is, if I got distracted because I heard an echo of myself. My question to you guys is, if you get one life here in this body, you'll come back as something else next time. But if you get one life here in this body, why would you not want to see how far you could go?
Yeah.
Just out of fucking curiosity.
Fun.
right? Just be
That's
like,
when it gets fun.
I wonder how much I could do. I wonder how much money I could
Yes.
make. I wonder how many places I could travel to. I wonder how many experiences I could have. I wonder how many skills I could learn. Like, why the fuck are you not doing that? And you're like sitting in front of the TV for hours binge watching shit that like makes you anxious. Why? What? Like, why are you doing that?
This drives me insane. Oh my God, this is such a tangent. I'm not even going to take the bait because if I talk about serial killer movies or horror movies one more time, first of all, if y'all suffering from anxiety and you can't sleep at night and you watch that garbage, I'm looking real hard right now. Like, I'm in your soul with my eyes because you are creating that. Yeah, guys, come on. That's a tangent. Anyways, committed decisions is what we came here to talk about.
I know we're like not talking about it all, but that's totally, we're both on our moon cycle too, so our energy is like intense tonight.
I feel like I'm like fire beams are coming out of my eyes right now to people who do that to themselves. That's how I feel. When it comes to committed decision, I mean, we covered the committed decision component in the beginning of this conversation. Like there is, and to quote Yoda, who's like my favorite persona of all time, like you do or you do not. There's no try. There is no like, I'm gonna try to lift this aircraft out of a pond. If you just try and it didn't happen, you didn't do it. That's what it is. Like you either lift the aircraft out of the swamp or you don't lift the aircraft out of the swamp. You either do the thing that you've been saying you're gonna do or you don't do the thing you've been saying you're gonna do. You either start the fitness program or you start the business or you leave the relationship or you start the relationship or you do the thing or you don't do the thing. And Grant talks a lot about, Grant Cardone is someone I've been listening to a lot, and he just had a segment in the book I'm reading or I'm listening to where he's like, commit first, figure it out later. Commit first, figure it out later. He does that with everything in his life. He buys a property, he doesn't even know he's going to pay for it. He puts a bid just because he wants it. And he's like, I'll go figure it out. I'll go make the phone calls. I'll get the people to back that up. But I want that. I want that property. You know, and that mentality, while everybody around you is trying to figure it all out, I need to organize all my ducks. I need to do this. I need to do that. And when you're out there making decisions, committed decisions, without knowing what the F you're doing and figuring it out as you're going along, you will leave them in the dust every time. No amount of planning and preparation gets you as far as being courageous enough to make a commitment, move forward with it, and figure it out as you go. In fact, you can't actually figure it out unless you're in motion. You can't actually know what to do or what the next step is unless you're actually moving in the direction of what you're wanting to do. While you're sitting still and treading water, nothing comes. There's no clarity because you're not moving. There's just no trajectory before you to move on. So that is one of the greatest things we do to ourselves to keep ourselves trapped is we're like, I need to have all this shit figured out first. And then I will do a thing. And I made a post about this today. And because life is life and life is always going to happen at you, you're never going to find the perfect time to commit to a thing, which is then going to give you the perfect excuse for why you can't start. And then I'm going to talk to you a year later and you're going to have the same fucking reason for not being in a fitness group, complaining about being 50 pounds overweight, not sleeping at night, being on all this medication, as you did when I asked you a year ago. And I'm going to be like, how is it possible that in a year you have not resolved the thing that kept you from participating? How is that possible? This is why. Because you've trapped yourself in a story about how everything has to be before you can do anything. And that story just keeps playing over and over and over and over in your head. And it controls everything in your life. And it leaves you powerless. It's astounding. It's astounding.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone the other day, and we talked about this on a previous podcast, talking about how she felt like she needed to like kind of get her shit together before we work together. And I was like, but that's what I do. Like,
yeah,
you haven't gotten your shit together yet. That's what I do. That's what I have. That's how I help you. That's how I serve you. Like, no. And then I quoted you, Shakti. I was like, it's just like Shakti said on a previous podcast that it's like wiping your ass before you take shit. No.
Like, really?
You can't.
Like, you're going to clean before you poop. That's not the order.
No.
That's not it.
No. So stop that. Stop wiping your ass before you shit. Take the shit first. It's going to be messy. It's going to be smelly. It's going to be lonely. I don't know. Like, I don't know where else.
Unless you have a toddler, then it's not lonely.
Exactly, Julie. I'm a jumper as well. And people always ask me, like, how do you have such a high pain tolerance? Or not pain, well, I have high pain tolerance too. But I'm seen as having, we're both seen, right? Having a high risk tolerance. Well, we do that because we commit, we decide, we say, I want this, I'll figure it out later. Right? Let me jump and let me figure out if I even have a parachute on the way down. That's how I live my life. And I'm not dead yet. So I guess it's working.
And, you know, Julie, I really admire that about you because you were one of those people. You're just like, I want to do this thing. How do I do this thing? And then you have been figuring it out, you know? And that's the beauty of, you know, it's funny. It's like those people, everybody looks at them like they're fucking magical. Like they dropped out of the sky. Like
unicorns.
Wow. I admire you so fucking much. And it's so ironic that the thing that you are admiring in those people is what scares the pants off of you. It's like the reason you admire them is because they eat shit in a way that you're just not willing to eat in order to get to where you want to go, you know? And so the reason, as I just said to Tanner when I answered her question, the reason a lot of people in like the law of attraction community or in the, because they can't distinguish. They're not taking the time to do the internal work to distinguish. Like, is this not my path or is this just me? Is this just me being a fearful asshat and like allowing my self-limiting beliefs to control my life like I've allowed it to do for X number of years, 20, 30, however old you are, you know, and like really taking the time to be in the stillness, to know the difference. The problem is you guys numb out so hard and so often with things like social media for another purpose other than connecting, for things like TV or movies, or, you know, going out to eat or spending a lot of money or like binge drinking or having way too much sex with people that you have no business touching, let alone having sex with. We expend so much energy doing things to distract ourselves from ourselves. And then we're like, why am I confused? Why does nothing work out? Why don't I know my soul's purpose? Why can't I make a committed decision? And it's like, because if you would just shut the fuck up and sit down for an extended period of time, maybe you would. Maybe you would know what is in your best interest. But you're too busy fucking being an alcoholic, fucking too many people, and like being distracted 24/7. So perhaps change in behavior is due.
I love how we just stopped giving any fucks at all. We're like, you guys, you're all asshats. Like, just stop being a dick. Just stop being a bag of dicks.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No,
Someone tell me
and
I'm
actually, when Shakti was talking, I was gonna say all the things basically that she just said. But like, seriously, if you're overweight, if you have debt, if you drink a lot, if you binge eat, if like all the things that she listed basically, or if you spend hours watching TV or hours playing video games or hours scrolling through social media and
on
you're like
Tinder.
not even sure what the fuck you read. Yeah, if you can't stop swiping right or left, doesn't really matter.
Tinder.
Like any of those things, like seriously, make a list. And if you can say yes to any of those things, you are avoiding something in your life.
Yeah.
And this is us as well, right? Like we're constantly having, I'm like, okay, I still have weight to lose. So clearly there's a story for me to uncover and heal. Like I'm not perfect either. Shakti has shit too, right? So it's like,
absolutely.
I call bullshit on anyone says, oh, I'm just totally happy being complacent. And like she said, if you're happy, if you're genuinely happy, then great. We're not fucking talking to you. But happy, but hold on. Happy, but like not able to check off one of those things, like happy and like you're like, nope, I can't check off a single thing because right, happy and not being an asshole. How about that?
Yeah, to yourself. Because
right,
you guys, the only reason I said everything I just said is because that's everything I used to do.
Yep.
I just named every behavior I used to do. Slept with people I had no business sleeping with, drank way too much fucking alcohol, drowned in sugar, drowned in food, drowned in excessive shopping, drowned in excessive debt. Those are all behaviors that I held, and I held them for a very specific reason. They were serving me in covering up the internal chatter, because it's very, very uncomfortable to sit with yourself for an extended period of time and hear what's going on in there. That sucks. Like, it's uncomfortable. It makes you want to cry, it makes you want to scream, makes you want to run, makes you want to hate yourself, it makes you want to belittle yourself. We understand what happens when we ask you to do these things. We understand how scary it is to make a committed decision to yourself for the sake of improving yourself. We know what we are asking you to do. We know. And we also know something that you don't know. We know what happens after. And the reason you don't know that is because you haven't made the decision. But unlike you, we know where you are, and we also know where you could be. We also know the other side because we did it. So when we tell you the things we tell you, and we sound really abrasive and we sound really abrupt, we're doing it to get your attention because it's late and you're probably falling asleep on your phone. Let's be real, especially if you're a parent. But it's to catch your attention. It's to help you understand that we know both sides of this bridge because we've been there. And the only reason we tell you that you can do this and everything you're telling yourself is a fucking excuse is because it is. That's it. Because we know, because we had all of them. And sometimes stacked upon each other in the worst way.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that Shakti listed, same fucking list. That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
So I think the only thing she didn't mention, which we could still put on, or not still put on there, but could have put on there as well, drugs as well, drowning in drugs. You know what I mean? Like, really just all the things. All the things. If you guys have medical problems, if you're on medicine, again, not a doctor, can't give medical advice. I'm going to put that out there. But like, you're avoiding something. There's a story that you haven't addressed. And it like drives me fucking crazy when people are like, oh, well, I have this health problem and I'm on this medicine, but oh, well, life is good. Like, no, life's not fucking good, guys. I'm sorry. But like, if you have a medical condition and you are on medication and like, no, I was gonna censor myself, but I'm not going to. Like, no, life is not fucking good. You know, and I know that people get pissed off at me. They're like, oh, you're medication shaming. Because it's possible. Like, why the fuck would you want to be on medication for the rest of your goddamn life? Like, seriously. Yeah. So, like, if that makes me a medication shamer, then I guess it makes me a medication shamer. Oh, well. Oh, fucking well. I'm not on medicine because I've chosen and found a way to not be on medication for depression, for anxiety, for thyroid, for anything else. And I did it with mindset.
We're talking preventable shit. Like, you know, like there's so much preventable shit that we are overly medicated for. And we just haven't made the committed to do anything about it. Like, we haven't committed to take it into our hands. We've just been like, okay, here's all my power. Tell me what I need to do with my body that I live in. Like, go ahead and tell me what I need to take. Oh, and then tell me about the other things that I need to take to mitigate the symptoms of that thing that you told me to take originally. And then the other things I need to take to mitigate the symptoms of the other things that I was taking for the original thing you told me to take. And I'll just take 27 pills forever because... Yeah, Carrie. Clapping for Carrie. So Carrie has successfully gotten herself off medication. She has a degenerative spinal disease. She could barely walk comfortably when she came to me and asked me for help with her fitness. Okay. She is now a coach on our team, and she is not only like walking comfortably, she is lifting weights like a badass. Woo! And living incredibly active life with her little girl and being a bomb ass mom and a strong mom. And this right here is what's possible when you're a no limits kind of person, when you commit. She just committed. She was just like, listen, my life is falling apart. I'm in the middle of separation. My body hurts. I don't, here it is. Here's my money. Give me what I need. Let me get started. I'm in. And she just went balls to the wall. She never once gave me a reason for why she couldn't do something. She never once told me that it was uncomfortable, that she was in pain. She never once did. She just mitigated. On the days when she was more in pain, she backed off. She regulated herself and she stayed consistent. And now she is super fit. That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Yep. Yeah, and honestly,
Incredible.
like I see how am I trying to say this? I see the opposite happen sometimes where I start to work with people, right? And then we stop working for whatever reason. And or I should say people who are so stuck to their stories. This is what happens when you are so stuck to your stories and refusing to like really face your shit. I see people who then attract and bring on all kinds of physical symptoms that don't need to be there. They don't need to be there. And so here's an example, right? Like Carrie has no excuses, no bullshit showing up, and she has overcome things that she probably didn't know on a certain level whether or not it would be possible for her, but she just stopped bitching and did the thing, right? And then there are other people who are like, but this thing is happening and this thing is happening and this person is doing this thing, and then all of a sudden I receive a message of like, now my health is this, this, and this. I'm like, well, no fucking shit. Your health is in that way because you're stuck to your goddamn story. You have to do the internal work or you're going to receive all kinds of shit that doesn't make you very happy.
Yep. And you guys, Carrie was in like the worst of the worst situations. Like, not only was her body falling apart, she was like, I have no money, don't have a steady job, I'm getting separated from my husband. Like, everything that everyone gives as a reason for why they don't do a thing. She had it. Look at her.
Yep.
Like,
that's what happens when you make a committed decision. That's it.
Yeah. That's the result. That's the result of that. Julie's another one who just jumped in and she was like, I'm just going to do this thing. And I have these health conditions and I have these reservations and I have these concerns. But I'm gonna give it a shot. And right now she is gaining weight because that was her goal. She is getting strong. She is super fit. She is figuring out social media when she previously did not have any idea what social media was. Like, she's just overcome all of these like stories that she had about herself, and she just didn't even flinch. She didn't even flinch. She just decided to do the thing, and they are both growing exponentially. I can name you so many of our coaches and clients who have just evolved into these completely different versions of themselves, and they're so proud of themselves, you guys. They are so proud of themselves. And I see that. We see that in them. We see how proud they are of themselves, because that is the reward that you get when you do the thing. You get to be proud of yourself. You get to feel that feeling of, I did something powerful. I did something powerful. I overcame something that I was told was going to limit me my entire life, and here I am, and I'm doing something about it. The reward that you get is your self-esteem going up, your sense of personal integrity going up, your self-appreciation, your self-love. You get to see yourself like you've always only dreamed of seeing yourself. And that is amazing. That is priceless. That is the most priceless experience that you will ever have. And when they write to me and they tell me about them, I still get emotional and I still get teary-eyed about it, because that is such power. That is such power to give a human being, to give yourself. I mean, is there anything better than that you can give yourself? I don't think so.
So powerful. So powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
It
and
is.
I mean, something as basic too is like, I have a client right now who has, for the first time in her entire life, shown up for herself for 30 days straight. And like today I received a message. It was just like, holy fuck, I've done this for 30 days. For someone who after a week consistently was falling off, going a week, falling off, going a week, falling off. And now it's been 30 days. And like, she now sees like, I can do this, right? Like when you're stuck to a story where you're like, every 7 days I fall off, or I can't lose the weight, or I don't even know how to, eat healthy or whatever, and she's having to really start at the basics of certain things. Like she went to the grocery store the other day and she's like, I realized I don't even know how to shop. Like she had an anxiety attack in the middle of the fucking grocery store, like was on the verge because she was reading ingredients, reading the labels, and was like, had that realization that like she never learned how to buy groceries and like actually nourish herself. And she's becoming more aware of things. And then it was just like, what the fuck, But because she reached out to me and I coached her through it and everything, now she's like really learning how do you go to the grocery store? How do you shop? you know? And so she's building that confidence bit by bit by bit. And I can't wait to see what happens because I see her potential. I know where she's headed, but she's never had that belief in herself. And she's starting brick by brick to be able to build that belief in herself. Like, think about that. For any of you who have ever struggled or are currently struggling with a lack of belief in yourself, how powerful would it be if you were able to build brick by brick by brick by brick, an undying belief in yourself, then knowing, not just like kind of believing or trying, but like knowing that no matter what comes my way, I'm good because I can trust myself and I believe in myself. That is fucking priceless. And that's what we do.
And that's confidence.
Yep.
That is confidence. That I just made a whole video about this. Like, confidence is knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. And that comes from building it. And I talk about this with our team all the time. Experiences breed confidence. When you do the thing and you see yourself excel at the thing and survive the thing, you get more courageous and you get more confident and you step out and you're bolder and you're bolder. If you're just treading water and you're scared of making a move, that doesn't build on your confidence, doesn't help you because you're not getting the experience that you need to look back on and say, look at what I did. Look at what I accomplished, etc., etc. Yep, I'm just seeing Julie's comment now.
Yep, exactly, Julie.
After I started growing food, if you grew up eating junk food, that's all you know. Yep. But again, that was your commitment to learning a different way. You were committed to learning a different way to nourish yourself. And so you figured it out. Grew your own food, learned about nutrition. She's so well versed in nutrition, didn't grow up with that background. Just like I'm so well versed in alignment, didn't grow up with that background. My parents were immigrants. They literally, all they knew was work like a slave, provide very basic needs to us, and forget about your emotional needs being met because we don't have time for that. Because we're in a country that doesn't speak our language and we have to survive as barely as we can. That was my upbringing. There was no parent to like hold my hand about my feelings and talk to me about processing and all the things I do now with my 2-year-old. There was no parent even near the level of self-awareness. I'm now seeing my mom develop self-awareness enough to have open conversations with me, but for a long time, I didn't even know who my mom was, like as a human. Okay? To me, my mom was like a machine, literally. That's how I saw my mother. So we, Anne and I, Julie, Anne and I, Carrie, and Julie and I, did not come from where we are. We created that through a series of decisions that we have made in our lives to become the version of ourselves that we want to be. And it's required a lot of commitment and it's required a lot of steadfastness in moments that were scary and uncomfortable and painful. But that is how we've come to where we are and how we've evolved into the women that we are now. And that's why people look at us and go, oh my God, how do you know this? How are you so wise? You're so brave. And it's like, well, yeah, because I just did a lot of scary shit for a long enough time that I got brave enough to keep doing that stuff. Like, that's how that works. It's not magic. It creates magic. It is not magic, but it generates magic over time, is what I believe.
Well, and the thing is, too, like, you know, we've been talking a lot about confidence, and you can't build confidence if you don't make a decision or a committed decision. True. And act on it, right? And I think that what keeps people so stuck is you think to yourself, like, okay, I'm at this fork in the road and I don't know which decision is right. Just make a fucking decision. It doesn't matter if it's right or there is no right or wrong. Because if you go down this path and like it's not of the highest good, then you'll know. Like you'll hit roadblocks that are different than like the contrast that make you into a better person. It'll still make you into a better person, right? But like it'll direct you to where you're meant to be. So like it doesn't really matter Absolutely. Whether you choose path A or path B, you're still going to end up where the fuck you are meant to be. It's just that if you go down path yes. A, you'll have certain experiences, and if you go down path B, you'll have other experiences. Yes. So just stop standing there and being like, I don't know, just standing there for years, like, I don't know which path, choose a fucking path and go. Commit, like decide, commit, go down that path and learn your experiences and keep going.
Yeah. This isn't like a video game, you know, like you just do whatever you want and you're still going to end up where you want to go. Like it's like my divorce was not a mistake. My first marriage was not a mistake. I don't see my first marriage as being a mistake at all. I know exactly why I was there. I know exactly what I needed to learn from that. I know exactly how much I love that person. I know exactly why I stayed. I know exactly what that was about. I don't have any question in my mind that I was there for a very specific person and reason. Like, no doubt. No doubt. I never look at anything I've done in my life like, wow, that was such a waste of time. It's not real, you guys. Like, there's no such thing as a waste of time. That is a mental perception of time and how you are in relationship to time. There's only a decision that you made that didn't yield an outcome that you wanted, which is okay. Happens all the time. So then you move and then you yield another outcome. And then you move and then you yield another outcome. And so on and so on. And that is the game of life. That is actually the game of life, is to continue to seek until you have the outcomes that you desire. You continue to connect, you continue to make decisions, you continue to explore yourself until you start touching upon the territory of the life that you desire to experience. That's it. There is no right or wrong, as Anne just said. That's completely make-believe. And there's no such thing as wasting time, and there's no such thing as like, you know, what a failure that was, or what. It's just an experience.
Yeah, failure and regret are illusions. You know, they're like
all.
I was just talking to someone yesterday at church, and I was like, we were just talking about our past, and I was like, there's not a single thing in my life that I regret at all. Mm-hmm. I don't regret anything in my life, and I've had moments where I've kind of thought like I kind of wish that I wouldn't have necessarily lived in Houston for 2 years. Yeah. However, if I had not moved to Houston, if I had not lived there for 2 years, I wouldn't have met my ex-husband, which some people might think like, well, great, you didn't meet your ex-husband. No, I learned so much about myself through that relationship and through that divorce, right? Yep. And it was the end of that relationship that opens my curiosity to spirituality. Now, I didn't actually catapult myself into my spiritual journey till about another 1.5 years after. But it was the divorce that started to I started to get curious about the universe. I wasn't even using God at that time. You know, I was like, that was too far. But no, I don't regret Houston. And I have some amazing friends from Houston, you know? So I'm like, there's not a single thing, because it's made me who I am today. I would not be the coach I am today without those experiences, just as Shakti said.
Absolutely. I firmly believe that I would not have near the level of empathy and compassion that I have for people if I had not lived everything that I've lived through. If I had not made the horrible decisions that I made, or if I had not lived out of integrity as hard as I did, or if I there would be no way I could hold space for my clients the way that I hold space now and have the level of faith that I have now in what I practice, because I wouldn't know. I would know what I know, you know. It's huge.
Yep. Well, and if you hadn't met your ex-wife, we wouldn't know each other.
I know. We would not be friends.
Right.
None of this would have happened. How astounding is that? Yeah. And you guys, you just never know. You never know how it's going to play out. You never know how you're going to be led one way or another. So if something blows up in your face, bless it and release it, and don't hang tight. And if you need to make a decision and you know you need to make a decision, make the dang decision. Make it, and trust that the net will appear. Stop living on the edge of the cliff thinking that you can divine your way into knowing which way is which. And if you do need help, hello, I do readings as part of like what I do. Like that's like something I do. I literally give intuitive readings and I channel for people. So like I just had a client today who was in that fork in the road and she came to me because she needed clarity. I didn't give her brand new information that she didn't know. I just asserted something for her that she was beginning to think was the correct path for her. And that was really helpful. It gave her a sense of courage and certainty in like where she was feeling called to go. And there are times when I look at someone, I'm like, this is not for you. It's time to let it go, because that's what's in your highest good. So there are so many tools for you to figure that out. Like not knowing and staying still is just not one of them. That's not one of the tools. That's not one. Don't do that one.
Freezing is not an option, guys. Staying frozen is not an option.
That's not one. That's not. There are other ones. That's not.
All right, guys. Thank you so much to all of you who hopped on live. If you're watching the replay, as always, let us know that you are watching the replay. If you haven't shared it out yet, there's still time to share it out. Shakti and I will each choose someone from those of you who shared. She will do a mini reading. I will do a free 30-minute mindset call. And we appreciate you. So thanks for hopping on, and we will see you guys next week.
Yes. Quick announcement before we hop off. If you are interested in working with us, we have a fitness group opening up September 1st. So this is the final week for enrollments into that group, and our fitness and nutrition clients also get our one-on-one time and get all of our intuitive gifts and our coaching. So it's a kind of a package deal. So if you do want to work with us in that capacity, this is your opportunity, as after September 1st, we are no longer enrolling until the following month. We do these on a 30-day cycle. Okay, so reach out to us if that is of interest to you as well.
Perfect. All right, guys. See you next week. Bye.